My name is Hidde Bruinsma, and you're listening to my conversation with Raoul Bouchrit, recorded during Legal Geek Europe. Raoul is the co-founder and CEO of Zeno, and Zeno is an AI platform that turns complex legal information into usable knowledge, helping legal professionals work more efficiently. Today we'll talk about how Zeno has grown through co-creation and his perspective on the future of the crowded legal tech market. Raoul, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Again,
yeah, thanks
our
for being
second
here.
interview.
Yeah.
I think our last interview was in January of this year, January 2025.
Yeah, it feels for me like more than
Feels
2
like
years
another
ago.
world, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
I mean, there's so much happened in the last, 8 months?
Yeah.
Can you share a bit with me what happened in the last 8 months? Because when we spoke to each other in January, we're still, things were evolving, but you were still at the beginning. And now I have the feeling like you've grown so fast with Zeno. There's so much happened in the legal tech space. How were your last 8 months?
I think, really crazy in that perspective. I think in the beginning of January, we really were figuring out what to build in the coming months. I think we had a nice product at the moment, but if I look back, it wasn't
that good.
Looking back. And I think at the time that we were in the podcast, we were like in negotiation of getting our next round.
Next investment.
Next investment, indeed. And we raised that in, I think, February or March, 2 million to like really expand the platform more. And I think also in line with our strategy of like really working with the lawyers, we really needed to raise more money to facilitate that. And we've been growing really fast. We have a team of, I think, 11 people now. And still...
Every month people are coming into your company to help you to scale up. One of the interesting things you said in January during our interview was the concept of co-creation.
Yeah.
And I think co-creation could be quite difficult with lawyers. Lawyers are people that they have a very high bar, they have a very high standard. Everything should be like a 9 or a 10. Yeah. And then you come as a startup and you have a product and you just said it yourself. The product was maybe not perfect yet. And then you need to co-create and co-build it together with your clients. Yeah. I can imagine it's quite a tricky process, but it's also very interesting to build your product and build your company together with your clients.
Yeah, indeed. And I think we are taking a more scientific approach in that sense. So we have a very tech-savvy team. And what we try to do is we're building a tech and we're trying to get the feedback and the input on the what to build from the lawyers itself. We recently hired also like an ex-lawyer to kind of speed that up a little bit, because what you said is lawyers don't really have time. You really notice that in practice.
Because before your team was mainly tech people and not really lawyers.
Yeah, indeed. Because I think today, I think also Jelle just in the talk today talked a lot about the adoption part. I think it's important to also have somebody involved on the adoption side that knows the language, knows how legal really works.
Was it a problem before when you didn't have a lawyer in your team, that sometimes you were maybe at a client and they were like, yeah, I don't know, we need someone who speaks the same language as us?
And they don't really say that, but it's more about the fact when you're doing, for example, an onboarding or a demo, and you will show specific use cases. Like if you're from the legal industry or have a legal background, you know sometimes the right words to say. So
the right jargon to use.
Yeah, because sometimes I'm using a little of the technical words and then it doesn't really land. But if you take that comparison, because they will also have some questions about privacy-related things and how does the AI really works, so that interplay between, for example, Floor and me at some onboardings is really nice for people in the session to know what Zeno actually is.
So it really helped you in building for the last 8 months to have that co-creation with lawyers, to hear directly from them, these are the functions, these are the options we want to see inside of Zeno, and then it's also easier for you to implement them together with those clients.
Yeah, I think we know quite well what we want to build, but you need to find a way how you can deliver something that's like 70% finished, but already adding 80% of the added value, and that's like the nuances where you need the lawyers for to really help you in building that and getting to that point.
Yeah, because lawyers are people. I spoke to some lawyers who then use ChatGPT. They have no idea how to use it. They make a mistake and then they're like, okay, I'm not going to use it again. I'm done. I'm done with AI. I'm done with ChatGPT.
Yeah, well, I think the bar is really high in that sense, and I think in January we had some big clients already, but we really, in the months following that, we really didn't sold our application because we needed to bring it to a higher level to have that first time right. And that really worked out the last couple of months.
Yeah, and legal tech market, it's a busy market.
Yeah.
We're here today at Legal Geek. I'm looking at stands
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
There are a
right.
lot of AI companies, legal AI companies.
Yeah.
How do you deal with such a busy, almost maybe red market where there are so many competitors?
Yeah, I think it's really important to know, like, what is everybody building and how don't you just really add to the noise, but really stand out. And I think that our approach by building something foundationally different is really a different approach.
How do you stand out?
Well, I think we're really focused on building that local legalized brain in a way that kind of really reasons like a human lawyer will do through the law, and just take them step by step in all the logical steps that are made to provide an answer, for example. That really helps in understanding how legal works in that sense. That really helps.
And it helps to have some money to raise an investment, to have some runway.
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you some breath to build and to maybe not also make too much short-term decisions, but also long-term decisions.
Yeah.
And I think that's also different. If you look at the market, not everyone raised an investment. You are maybe the only one who raised like a big investment, or one of the few. How is it helping you also that you have quite an experienced person behind you who did the investment and already scaled companies to billions? Is that also something that's really helping you in this busy market?
Well, I think it's very important I think his focus is really about your product needs to be the standard. And I think we really agree. So we really want to build a product that's qualitatively very good, and we are really investing in that. For example, in that deep thinking, we call that the legal research part of our application.
Which is very important for lawyers.
Exactly, but also the entry point. So if they test your app, they always ask a question and they want to see a relevant answer, accurate answer, but also the citation to the sources. And we really saw that was the first touch point. And then that kind of really expands into different use cases that we are building in Zeno, and that works really well. And we really aligned also with our investors on that we really need to invest in that, and adding like a lot of tech people to the team to make your product the standard.
Is it still your ambition to be like a Swiss knife for legal? Because I had a very interesting talk with a head of AI of Simmons & Simmons, a worldwide head of AI.
Yeah.
And he said, I think the future will be that as a law firm, you will use like one more general platform, more general AI platform, and then you have 4 or 5 different specialized tools that you add to the stack of your law firm.
Yeah.
Because you have one tool which is very good at research, and then you have another tool which is very good at drafting, and then you have a more general tool which all brings it together. But I remember from our conversation in January that you were really talking about, we want to be that Swiss knife. We want to be the platform that you need, and that's the only platform you need to work in as a lawyer, or not as a lawyer, but if you do legal work.
Yeah, I think the argument behind that, I think it can go either two way, like choosing like one platform or a best of breed solutions where you pick like the solutions that work for the different practices you have. I think in legal, in my opinion, it's more favorable or preferably to go with one platform, because our clients are working with very sensitive data, and if you're working with 5 software providers, they all need to go to compliance, people need to get onboarding, so the cost of acquiring a certain application is really high if you need to do that for all the 5.
It's also a hassle. I mean, you need to switch between tools.
Yeah, and they're all kind of like doing the same, because I think, before legal tech, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I think it was quite narrow, so you had a lot of vendors that were doing something in e-discovery, contract drafting, review, but like when Gen AI really came up, it was all possible to bring all these use cases in one platform, because they had, I think, one thing in common, and it was all text. So that just really took a fly after that, and I think you see a really big a split in tools that are automating the more shallow workflows, so contract drafting, review, and I think you see a part that goes more into the deep thinking, the reasoning, and focuses more on kind of like the legal or jurisdiction localized brain, and very localized to really add to the understanding of legal in the AI.
So it's still the ambition of Zeno to build like the all-in-one platform. And now lawyers are switching between Word, and they're switching between their research software, but maybe in the future they only need your platform to do everything at one place.
Yes, I'm just a big believer of that because my past experience was more in the IT consultancy, and I came in a lot of firms where their application landscape like really grew out to a lot of vendors that were doing the same thing. Data is going everywhere. So I think in a big firm, you need to work with one platform that everybody works with and are happy to work with and really aligns with the way they work. And I really believe that we are building that with Zeno.
And you're also fighting, or I don't know if fighting is the right word, but you're also competing with like established publishers. In the Netherlands, we have some big publishers who have a lot of content, who have a lot of interesting data. If you need that one sentence from a teacher at a university, it's inside of the publisher's data. And I mean, you're not allowed to use it without permission. You maybe can make a deal with them that you can work together. But how do you see the role of those publishers also in the next few years in this whole legal tech, legal AI space?
Yeah, I don't think that that's going to change that much. But I really hope in the future that we're going to find these synergies together to provide the clients that we all have better. And I think we can. But at the other end, they don't need to be like very naive about the fact that if a lawyer uses, for example, a free ChatGPT and uploads some content of a publisher, then it's out in the open.
No one is going to check it.
No, but it will get trained on it as well. So why don't you find a way to make your lawyers use it in AI that's very safe, that's contained? I think that's something that's underestimated. That really happens. Don't be naive about that.
Do you have conversations with the big publishers about these things? Do they maybe also want to work together with you at a certain point? Is that something that they are anticipating for?
Well, I think that you always try to be in contact and know each other and see if there's something possible that you can have a conversation about that. But I think for an AI company or a tech company in the legal space, it's somewhat important to also have some grip on the data that they are providing to do something with the accuracy. So, for example, I can say for quite sure that our legal research is quite accurate. So we're a little bit hesitant in maybe adding a lot of sources where we don't have the control of to our platform because we don't know what that will do to our own accuracy. So I think a lot of vendors have this problem as well, that they want to add it, but does it really add? Can lawyers find that information if we integrate with them, for example? And there are all questions that I think the future will tell us how that will look like. But I hope we will find that synergy with the other vendors.
Something else you said in January was also the difference between Europe and America. And we have some big, for example, Harvey, they raised 300 million, I think, what is it, 2 months ago? They're now valued at more than 1 billion.
Yeah.
They have so much money. They have so much money to scale. They have so much money to do their marketing. And in the Netherlands, I mean, you raised more than 2 million, which is quite a lot of money, but it's nothing compared to 300 million.
Yeah.
Are we still a bit too conservative in Europe regarding legal tech and legal AI?
Yeah, maybe, but as you just said, like the market is getting quite crowded, so who are you going to fund? And I think Harvey is a very school example of having that first mover advantage. So always the first in a market will get funded the best. And you see that they are, going very globally, adding a lot of source in all different countries. And also, I'm looking very interested to the battle that's evolving around who's taking over the world between Harvey and Legora, because I think Legora is making like very big steps in I mean,
they also raised 80 million, I think. So
yeah, in competing on that level, and that's just really interesting to see how that evolves.
Yeah, and how will Zeno evolve? And say, I don't know, maybe we speak to each other again. We have another interview in 1 year or 6 months. And things will go fast again in the next 6 months, I think. Where do you hope to be with Zeno in say 6 months?
Well, I really hope that like we just opened, I think, 15 jobs on our career
15
website.
Or 50?
15. So we're really planning to go more on people also because you want to do a good onboarding, you want to do a good adoption, and then you need to do things that don't scale but add scale. And I think that's a challenge. But I think for the coming months, really focusing on expanding our team and focusing on spending in the Dutch market. And maybe after a couple of months, we will decide to build something that's more European we're also adding the European sources in our database and see where we can add more jurisdictions, but try to be very localized in these countries or regions.
And we're doing this interview now in the morning at Legal Geek. You will be on stage in less than 2 hours.
Yeah.
What will be your message to the public at Legal Geek?
Well, I think all the presentations that I attended now, like with Jelle and Douwe, were all about finding the synergies, working together, but also about making like the answer of AI verifiable, the adoption. And I think I will touch on all these points in the very short 5 minutes that I have. But I just want to show a short. You notice, like we are here and we are doing this as what people are saying that we should do. So yeah, let's have a chat about that.
Thank you, and very good luck with everything that you're doing with Zeno. And I hope to talk to you again in 6 months and hear all the developments we've been through. So thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.